personally was how those was stuff like so it's things that I've all best. This is design missing parents from the project state purpose is how the educational protected scholars of varieties again not just say officers with the last week, but they also found great example of the most small things. And we sent the church for what it was about, and even outside the church. And again, as we hear reports, Mr. Coffin disappears into the facility. And so there was a greatness, but they didn't feel grateful. For example, he has a message about what the faith is about, but what humanity it was also about. Well, it is about being the voice of the voiceless. And his wise felt he kept on working so hard until the end because it saw an opportunity to be there. And although, like I say, there's been a lot of songs lost, there is one that message should be put out for the global stage. The previous example, focus on the poor and migrants, the disenfranchised, those who didn't have control of their own destiny. Leaves, I remind them
where there were moments when the crowd clapped and cheered, and there were moments when people cried. There were moments when people with no knees and they prayed. The priest came along the crowd as well and gave the Eucharist during that ceremony too. It was more people and time to ask. So I found some people in the book who that with us. They had it down and you often run. How do you feel? What do you feel when
that works.
really not come all the way from time? What do you want? And we can go to Italy. And
Or something that it is how we appear to hear us.
tell me what meant to you as a group, because we're based on the Jubilee Catholic Youth Celebrations, but they're in the funeral. What does it mean to you?
To me, it's that we were we were about to think of things and we were know the focus, but we suddenly came a little bit too late and then he died. But he was, in my perspective, he was a great man that did very awesome things and that changed the vision that all of us had from some tiredness, someone asking myself.
Do you feel sad everyone, or do you feel like this is the time to look to the future?
Yeah, we all said, but it's time to today is the day that we look at the future and we know we think what to do in the future to bring this message even after it's dead.
Alessandro, thank you so much. And thank you all he said that the God was young, a little bit too much. I'm also joined here so much, bye-bye. I'm also joined here by a couple of months all the way from Nigeria to be here to see so much for saying to us. I see you later. It's so emotional.
Yeah, I was saying, well, we belong to the but the great love. Yeah, because in me, I saw in my inward man, in goodness, which is the man of peace. At least I said, no matter the way, the way, very thankful. So, for me, not a great man. And I pray that whomever we are to for, we also step up in that we have the body church.
You want the church to keep on the road that we
stronger. So like the groups like Express would be going to meet with President Trump, but later will be in Italy or President Trump would not share with reporters they plan to do so. This morning's meeting is the first time the two leaders have come face to face that are able to have a meeting with some it's the landscape or not, that's really not to what I'm saying. And then you bring more, but for example, if you didn't do a
Sitting on these two. So I what is fitting in tribute to the legacy of Francis, who was so passionate about peace or Indian conflict, given the practice nature of the relationship between President Zelensky over the course of the last few months, to see them sitting there together and just one of the achievements for the author of the we're taking with each other very much in spirit with the messaging of it.
cheap. Is it a general story or two general in the basically so
Well, we've heard about how Pope Francis tried to bring together the rivals in South Sudan. He's made a mission of trying to heal wounds around the world. He wrote the first book, The Global South. And for this meeting between President Trump and President Zelensky,
the program. So he also, that was very, even though the crowd actually participate was a very close, from the place to get so close. We moved around, going on the wheelchair in the church, then at the same time. So for me, that he saw you went to everybody, he wants to everybody. Yes, the other was with somebody second and for this that have gone, yeah, not apply. The big also to give us a ban of moving check forward in a positive way. This debate is to be so grateful to those who stay and talk to us. And you can see behind me that there are people moving now away from St. Peter's Square. A lot of them are moving towards the procession route. And I mentioned earlier, the procession will take the Pope's coffin slowly in the Pope from St. Peter's Basilica to his final resting place at the Basilica Santa Maria Maggiore. And a lot of people have told me that that is where they are going to next, to pay their respects as he is taken to the place where he will be buried. Back to you, Lisa.
Marion, thank you very much. Well, we are seeing the coffin of the Pope being moved in what can only be described as a converted Pope-mobile. These are details that we didn't know before. We're seeing this for the first time. Being in that experience also, following the Pope around his own being during his famous.
was understood about the public was a Pope to Western right here. And it's the first time we did this is this is how it's going to be. Conflict was like space used to see this is everything. Audience for it's very people. And I understand that there are rules to things. A number of places which were significant in Rome is and the same goes back to that, which four places would have thought about. This is the road. He was the bishop of Rome and I took that quite seriously. We had a wonderful, and there's a wonderful shepherds too, but this is look here Roman the Roman people to give full thanks to
Forecasting people's land, life, streets, nothing's promised that there are. Over a million people in the vicinity during the service are expected to be minutes. He was married to someone from China, he goes to the church, and married when he is.
after problem. It's a difficult start. Using within even what
in the White House earlier this year, and I think it just shows.
yes, I mean, we had some politics with a small p during the whole talking about some of the causes that Francis cared about, migrants, their dignity and their rights and the environment. But there has been politics with the great capital going on here because of who we have been, of course, and all eyes were always going to be on President Trump, President Zelensky, and we believe that just each paid their respects inside of this. Besides, everything has decided who was here. In fact, that there will be another meeting between the two of them. The first time debate the two persons were but you know, there is a sense that in life of Francis, someone wants to try to bring people together because of been criticized, but not unequivocally condemning Russia for its aggression in Ukraine. Happened in Ukraine, so it should come more. But behind the scenes, we were being told by the Christians that because he wants to leave the world, he could be in the country, if help, bring people together. There have been ways of bringing people together. They've been exploring whether we kiss the feet of the leaders of the world connections in South Sudan. And there was a time where he brought together Cubans and the United States during the presidency of Barack Obama. He saw himself as someone that could bring people together potentially in life where we could start bringing certainly very strong party. The church and God of the day. But in life, as I said, he was someone who tried to be together, even political leaders, extraordinary goodness through there.
This has been a day of very striking, memorable images, mostly to do with the service image. President Trump and President Zelensky together in a makeshift tete-a-tete.
Not start from the coast. They sent to like an official sit down and they got on those two very simple chairs. There's a security response on the expensive. I think Francis, from the very beginning of the Ukraine war, wanted to be the bridge who went straight out of the whole residence and visited the Russian ambassador, breaking, by the way, every protocol the ambassadors are supposed to go into Ukraine, not the other way. The Francis said to the Russian ambassador, whatever I can do, whatever that can do, we will do. He really, really wanted that to be the place where to create that space for that dialogue to lead to peace. And I think there's something very interesting about if we start to lead to peace, and we've had so many we can be broken in recent years, but if this is something, I think we will talk about it in the future.
I think we will. Hope's Coffin is being transported through a very carefully prepared route. All the roads leading into St. Peter's and across the city have been cordoned off. The pavement area has been cordoned off to allow crowds to gather. They really have.
Watching this, and I learned that many surprise moments that Francis would yes, we came together a fresh pair of glasses, just suddenly appeared outside the petition, another time outside a company store. He was one for that. He liked to be had the freedom to go places in Rome. He knew, of course, that Pope can't just simply move around. He needs people with him, but he would arrange these moments with a minimum security, always in his little autonomy. And the delight of people, if somebody see the Pope up here, was actually the source of great joy to them. I think this is city. I think he did, I think he always took his role as pastor, as Bishop of Rome, very, very seriously. Then you know, came to stop with capability. We celebrated this every morning in the chapel of the Second Martin Residence. And I went a number of times. And I was always struck because there in the congregation, it's not a big chapel, but it was where everybody was laid to rest earlier this week. There would always be a group of people from a parish in Rome. So the idea was, of course, that they couldn't simply get to the parish in Rome. The idea was to put those things. Every parish in Rome had the opportunity to send a few people to be at rest with him. Again, little things which were the mark of the seriousness of which he could be done.
People hanging out in balconies and in, and this applause that's moving down the line.
There was always that connection with people. I want to talk about that, which we never moved to the people of beyond this. Modesty, actually, many times or talking times about that we just felt so far removed. That was the lady who couldn't entertain people. And actually, wants to stay in the hospital, to say, story which is and the ceiling is where every Easter there's the station of the cross Good Friday. So he every year he was at the scene. He's not a recently business out of an important place.
Particularly around the as we watch this, Austin, it's maybe a moment to reflect on what we heard earlier during the service, and it was really talk about community. It was really personal, temporary parts.
I was really struck by the whole with the light up the way it was not pretty slow. And it was really full of the things that was underlining about the typical, we had a lot to choose from. So what he chose to emphasize, I see as Vatican announcements about he's sending certain messages there. What were they? Well, he's the Dean of the College of Cardinals. His task is to shepherd the Cardinals into this next role, and the very important role of the Francis. So what's expressive today, I'll give you it's important that what he did stress was how Francis evangelized. And how successfully he evangelized. He said evangelization was the key thing, the great uniting element. He's talked about this spontaneity, his informal way of addressing people, even those starting to try. His human beings, the way his message could reach people's hearts in a direct and immediate way. How he had comparison and welcoming and listening, the way he touched hearts. I think he was second to the government. This is how you evangelize in the 21st century. This is the only way the Pope needs to be and the church needs to be. And I think they will have been very attentive to that, and they will have noticed those moments when the leader was saying, people burst into applause. The people of God were giving their own thing. What exactly? I mean, to talk thoroughly without issues, the Pope Francis Carey, to talk about the involvement, to talk about things, using the words that Pope Francis would use himself a lot, saying that you're in it, so that I don't think for everyone. And that's something Pope Francis said a lot. War in itself is failing. And to hear those moments, how those themes resonate with the crowd, that spontaneous thought, words is very much a better message to the cardinals against practice. Just seeing Basilica saying that, which is going to receive just a little, they just gave us a little clip there. That was waiting to receive Pope Francis will not be dignitaries, the cardinals, but a group of famous people there to receive it. That's a beautiful thing.
That was his way.
That was his wish. All of this is. He sat there, I think after Benedict's funeral, Pope Francis sat there, but you know what? I need to start thinking of this. And he last his roots probably funeral and later and wishes through. This goes back to when we were, I was actually very interested in the cardinal regulations, extraordinary documents that Francis used to get to magazine with the shape really a leading figure of the souls in the world. And he then went on to all the things like outstanding in one. So this extraordinary bridge that Francis built between the two worlds, Francis religions, was the religions, Christianity and stuff. And it was all about fraternity, about religions working together for peace and taking on either people who want to use religion to justify violence, but also to prevent certain political groups wanting to exploit populist groups or something. So he saw this polarized issue and acted to break it through. Built this extraordinary relationship with Sheikh Al-Fani, the Alexandrian Institute in Egypt, and the two of them developed remarkable friendship. And that really tells you everything, because his capacity for friendship, Francis's capacity, that led to so many important projects in this pontificate and so many key breakthroughs, because he had this capacity to build trust.
We are seeing the sanctuary going from many iconic Roman sites that people will recognise, just past the Palace of Victor Emmanuel, on its way out towards the Colosseum. And every inch of space taken up by the public. Classing, trying to record them for moments.
And what a beautiful spring day for this hill. I've so often been in Rome where it's really hot and the crowds that can get very uncomfortable. This feels very different. Temperature's lovely. There are too many people, but there are enough people to show just how much you touch people's hearts.
The Colosseum. The Colosseum policy. Ahead. 100%. Is Aline Austin mentioned earlier when we were talking about Holly about the discreet message to the cardinals about the task ahead of them. Just remind us about the role of the municipalities.
Well, the next poll, there are only two rules, but I think it needs to be met, but in recent centuries, and more often than not, it's been applied, so they're selecting one of their own to take on the role. And it's only called to be what is it for this time around? Thanks to the Francis, is that we're going to the most diverse corporate ones there. Around 80% of those who are taking part in the voting process are cardinals that were appointed by Pope Francis himself. And while we've been talking about assembly and about some reaching out state, well, we were certainly reaching out to Catholics around the world. It made it a point to the cardinals for Africa, sometimes America, for Asia. But it also means there's some very unpredictable countries. Because at least the cardinals have regulated their spend as a whole. They also was geographics, which was having spent less time together perhaps.
Yeah, the procession continues along the streets of Rome. You can see the crowd waving, chanting, expressing affection for the man they loved. You can see the crowd waving, chanting, expressing affection for the man they loved. Chanting, expressing affection for the man. Yeah. So Francis, during his lifetime, touched many lives, was quite popular. Is carried around the streets of Vatican City and Rome, so that those who admire him can have a quick last glimpse of his coffin before he will lay to rest. Death, they say, is inevitable. So when it comes calling, one just have to answer. And so the last journey continues until late Pope Francis will be led to rest. You are seeing the streets lined up on them, admirers, and those who want to say goodbye to the late Pope Francis. This, it seems, will be the last destination of the late Pope Francis, where he will say goodbye for the last time to all his admirers and adherents of the Catholic faith. People throwing flowers in the streets as a sign of gesture to let Pope Francis as he bids goodbye to his admirers. What an epic moment. As the world stands still, as they bid goodbye to late Pope Francis. The last journey continues. Iconic places in Rome, sorry, in the Vatican City, where Pope Francis once reigned supreme. The coffin has arrived to its destination, the transloading, and then the onward journey of the late Pope.
You don't need a second job. You just need to learn these AI tools.
Disappear for 1 month to become the most.
We are live at St. Mary Major, where late Pope Francis is about to say the last goodbye. The coffin looks quite heavy. Take all these men to move it, huh? Wow. Okay. And there goes, let Pope Francis. His coffin is being moved to the Santa Maria. Vatican has confirmed that 250,000 persons attended this funeral ceremony. Among the attendees are President Donald Trump and the Chancellor of the United Kingdom. Rulers all over the world thronged to Vatican this day to say, to bid farewell to late Pope Francis. And so the last journey continues. Monarchs still remember Francis for his input, for his desperate input to restore peace. He's now being moved to Santa Maria Maggiore, where he will be led to rest for the last time. UK Prime Minister Sir Keir Starmer is present, as well as President Donald Trump, to say goodbye to the man they admire. That's it. This is being brought to you courtesy of Diaspora Digital Media, DDM. We are hooked up to world renowned media sites, and we are trying to relate to you live events from the Vatican City, where the Pope of Rome is about to say good night. The coffin now resting on the shoulders of able-bodied men for the transition. You are live at St. Mary Medway. You are watching this live from Vatican City, courtesy of Diaspora Digital Media DDM.
And the moment there of standing with the coffin in front of the icon that meant so much.
As he said, just sit. Sometimes we do this 25 minutes and praying to it very still. Always with the bouquet of flowers. It's lovely to see the children. All those flowers there.
It's been a morning of such contrasts. I mean, we've had the very high ceremony of the service, and then the coffin being driven through the crowds, all the buildings, cheering, and now again, ceremony, serenity.
Yeah, it's been fascinating seeing the departures, if you like, from recent funerals, the connection.
The procession continues, and we are approaching the final moment of the late Pope Francis, as he is about to be committed to Mother Earth and what we know as the last journey. Again,
fellow to one of his successors, 265, as Catholics, believe in St. Paul.
Yes. This is coming to you live from St. Mary Major, Vatican City. We are bringing you live coverage of the late Pope Francis, who was known for building bridges while he was alive. This is the live coverage of the event, courtesy of Diaspora Digital Media, DDM. The cathedral at St. Mary Major that were the last moments of Pope Francis was being held. Pope Francis will be remembered as a man of peace by many, following his exploits, known as for a man building bridges and not walls, in one of his famous statements. I'm sure Catholic faithfuls all over the world will miss him. Coming live from St. Mary Major, the Vatican City. Oh, when a big man cries. Yeah, full of memories of the late Francis. Sad moment, right?
hundreds, thousands of people who gathered here to say goodbye to Pope Francis. And from us, it's goodbye.
Respect to late Pope Francis. Last respect to late Pope Francis as he makes his last journey back to where he came from, the dust. Yes, for dust you are, and to dust you will return. World leaders shaking hands. Just saw President Donald Trump exchanging a handshake with President Emmanuel Macron of France. Adios, Papa. Goodbye.